Okay. 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 Here we go. It's part 3. Got through the first game, no problem. Let's go to the second game. Let's do questions. And then I need some advice from you. You guys, I don't really know what I should be eating for dinner. I'm thinking bread and brie. Maybe if I put pepperoni on the bread and the brie. I don't know. Let's go through this game pretty swiftly. I think the important points were in 1 and 2, and this is one of these bonus things where... you know... There's probably an extra hour and a half of content I could show for each daily of just stuff I saw. Whoa, that's loud. Here's a game that I looked at that's not really relevant on the whole, but here's a 5-minute segment of it. That's pretty pertinent. Alright, HerO's doing kind of a weird build, but it's a cool one. You go 15 gate. That's right, 15 gateway. This probe will generally mine non-stop from this mineral field to help spot if there's any danger. The assimilator gets planted down. The reason we go for 15 is that right when our gateway finishes, and after we get the Nexus, we barely have enough funds to go for the Cyber Core. We could get the second Vespene Geyser right away. Oftentimes players will build the first Zealot, but you can actually get away with building this first assimilator and this Zealot. Remember this probe that was doing the scouting to make sure that there was no bunkering going on at the front? He boldly moved out because a pylon finished, providing us all the vision that we need. A lot of subtle stuff going on in here. Chrono Boost has to go down on this gateway. Mothership Core can't pop out quick. It's got to be on this. This Warp Gate research, I actually think, does have to happen before the Mothership Core. Mothership most often will be planted at the Expo. There's a timing that hits at 5:15 that a one-basing player will do, and you just kind of want the Mothership Core to pop out right there. Bam! Take them out. Ooh! Spotted all the things. This is where this Zealot Stalker combo can actually begin to move out and be aggressive. So I am an enormous fan of 3 Stalker openings almost universally. But the fact that it's being chronoed is just swanky. Robo facility going down. We're going to start to see the same looking-ish structure, but now it's time to bring the noise. Bring in the noise, bring in the noise. This is what you get for not building a bunker. No bunker. Marines are the most important thing to kill early on, not SCVs. Marines. Marinas and nothing else. Just Marinas. Great, we've got the scout. We know what's up. We see that he's going to try to hurt us. He's going to try to hurt us early. Remember in that last game when we saw that potential push coming out? How did we answer? Well, we answered by losing our expansion. But here we're going to see similarities. Robo going down. Oopsie daisies. We lost our ever so important Mothership Core. You're starting to see the HerO getting himself down these gateways before he gets the Forge up. However, he also killed off a lot of Marines, so he doesn't actually have to do that drastic of a shift with his build. Not at all. Now, this expansion up, we might see HerO throw down his Twilight Council to do some sort of up-techage, but it's not for the fast switchover that we saw HerO incidentally do last game. If an attack came and this died, HerO may very well respond by slowly switching on over to Templar-based tech. But in this position, HerO's in grand condition. He has all the resources he needs to be able to continue to go Colossus Production. And this is a pretty standard defense. Double Forge with Robo and some gates. I mean, this is just so typical. This is so typical, I don't even know why I'm telling you. Once upon a time, it was 3 gateways added onto this, but it's increasingly been 5 gateways total instead of 6. So that way we can put the Twilight Council down earlier. Nice. A doo-wop. Alright, Mr. Observer, what's the point of this daily? It's to identify aggressive play. Oh! Like somewhat of what we're seeing. I don't see a third command center. I wonder what he is up to. Oh well. To note, Extended Thermal Lance comes out after 1-1 gets started. After the Colossus is done. What's one of the last things it's actually constructed? Pretty typical, standard looking thing. But we are seeing the charge come down. Ooh, we're seeing continued chrono boost on the Colossus. The Colonage. Yeah. So, let's pause right here and try to see if we can note similar structures. A brief fly through of the bases. Saw these additional barracks going down. Nice. So HerO is relatively confident that what he's up against is a player going for some sort of bio plus Viking play. Very reasonable assumption to make because we saw it. So what does HerO do then? Begins his switch on over. Twilight Council, Templar Tech. Why no blink? Because if our opponent did a barracks heavy opening, such as the one that we saw at the 7-minute mark. Gosh, I thought that was going to load a lot faster and make me a lot punchier. We saw it. If Hart opens up with a bunch of barracks to attack us, you know what infrastructure he's behind on? The same infrastructure we saw last game. Upgrades and the starport. If his starport is behind, he's not going to have that many medevacs because very rapidly he had to switch on over to Viking production. So we're not as worried about multi-pronged drops. What do you know? Look at this. The first medevacs are popping out as charge is going down. So the simple statement, he's behind on his starport. He's not going to be able to drop us. He's got to build Vikings to kill the Colossus, which, by the way, we're making a shitload of. I'm just going to get charged. I'm not even going to get blink. I'm just going to get charged. That's all I'm going to do. Nice. And switching over to the Templar Tech. Fantastic. Throwing down the Nexus. Great. Good stuff. Getting the Storm. Perfect. Getting gateways. Full-on swap over to Gillette Arca. And of course 1-1-ups gonna have to go down at some point. Hallucinated Colossus, that's just good. If you are against an intelligent enough player, do that. If you are anywhere but Grandmaster, don't do that. Save the energy. Force fields will benefit you a lot more than mind games. I'd kind of like to see these go down a little earlier, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It is okay. Now, these units are still being left in the back because even though it's unlikely for him to have a lot of medevac drops come fast, medevac drops are still really good, so having some stalkers to shoot down stuff is going to be good, and oh no, alas, we're not in the bestest of shapes. But we give credence to our wonderful Nexus. Almost always the Colossi are going to be out in the front lines. Almost never are they going to be popping into the back. And what do you know? Immortal. Why? Same reason as last time. And it kind of has a little bit to do with the fact that there's this constant trail that's being rallied forth. There's no third. There's no third. In fact, this probe's gonna soon enough identify that. Immortals are just so boss against a player who's going just Bio Viking. Oh, they're so boss. The degree to which they are boss is pretty unparalleled. Actually, this game might recall being closer than it actually was. This is just domination. This is just bone-crushing herd-bearing. Herd-bearing down-bringing. That's fine. We'll be doing questions soon. Hang in there. Oh, my throat is getting a little dry. Immortals still being produced. Immortals, the true boss of all things. Still a little scary to deal with, these 2 base drops, especially given the fact that the army supply isn't tremendous. But it's fine, it's all good in the hood. In this split, Colossus rarely ever anywhere but the front.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy. Depleted.
Pretty easy control. Yep, there's the 2-2 upgrades coming oh so late. Doesn't he hurt it? Doesn't he feel hate? Heart has pretty good control. Getting ready for the counterattacks, but there's nothing to counterattack. This commentary is terrible. Alright, well let's just see HerO win. This has got a minute more. This is just easy defense, man. I think I'll sort of continue to pair it with that theme of if your opponent is not taking a 3rd base, man, just defend. You don't need to attack. Here comes the Zealots to valiantly attack the 3rd base. Oh. Oh, okay. So, I mean, some attempted neatness from Heart. And just, Micro only gets you so far. Okay, cool. Whatever. Let's go ahead and take questions. Man, bread and brie sounds pretty good to me. So Yellow Sky 364 asks a great question. Why don't Protoss just do Immortal Protoss normally? The answer is that most of the time, what Protosses are shooting for are the big swingers, like Colossus and Templar, really, and they're devoting as much of their gas as they can to things like the upgrades. So you're actually very low on gas. If we look pretty closely at a lot of the Protoss players, we'll see them not getting a lot of sentries. They'll have like 1 or 2. 3 is a stretch. So being very, very careful about gently prodding forward in that sense. So if you go for the Immortal, it's gas that's not... Like, Immortals aren't the most amazing big mass end late game unit. Like, if I'm in a final fight, I would much rather have 3 Colossus than 6 Immortals. 6 Immortals just kind of get overrun, and they're a little bit more fragile. I'm tired. Yeah. Also, Immortals are super mineral expensive. So they also get in the way of doing, like, building gateways. Yeah, that's enough. Alright, Little Big 11 says, Dear Dad, you said before, assuming makes you lose games that you should never fucking lose. But in part 2, you talked about how HerO should assume that Heart is going to be really aggressive. How do we make the determination of what you can assume? Yeah, that's a beautiful... Oh, what a beautiful question. Here's the difference. So my ever so famous quote: assuming makes you fucking lose games you shouldn't fucking ever lose ever. And I mean that statement very, very, very strongly. Because here's what I see people do a lot. They will say, well, my opponent really should be taking a 3rd right now. So that means it should be safe for me to take my 3rd right now. And then that player takes their 3rd and they die because they had a completely incorrect assumption. And this is where you see people start to say things like, gosh, my opponent played like an idiot. Why wasn't he getting his 3rd base up? Every Terran player does that, but he didn't do that. Well, It's not that I was wrong for making the wrong assumption. It's that he is playing wrong, and he's not going to do well in the long run and all that crap. It's really bad. Or for instance, even doing something like, yeah, Colossus tech is always good. So you lose your expansion, and you're like, well, I'm still building Colossus. They're way better than Immortals. Why would I do anything different? Those sorts of assumptions are toxic. Here's what contrasts with what I was saying in part 2. In part 2, I was referring to a situation that you will very often wind up in if you are in a terrible spot, which is where you will say, okay, if I knew he was doing A, I would respond in this way. If I knew he was doing B, I would respond in this way. And if I knew he was doing C, I would respond in this way. But I literally can't get that information. What do I do? It's in that circumstance. It's not an assumption that you're just breezing past going, oh yeah, he's going for A. It's more of, how do you structure a framework to be able to attack this problem? And the answer is, pick one of those and just do a really good job. I'm sort of re-explaining what I did in part 2, just leaving out the word assume, because it's sort of conflating two different uses of the word. The bad way is to just go, he really should be doing that. Oh, what I'm doing here is totally right. Oh, he's not doing that. And then the other one is, oh god, I don't know what the correct choice is because I literally can't get the information I need right now. And I see a lot of people kind of get stuck and kind of in that spot. So that's great. Boom. What's the deal with the green screen? There's no green screen on today. Ooh, Gruin says, Dana, what is the most common fault that beginners do when they try to get better? To change too much. Change is not how you solve problems in StarCraft 2. It is adjustment and basics that you should work on. That's it. So here's what I see people do wrong. They'll say, I went for an early expand with Terran and it lost. So I'm going to go for a one base defensive play. They change the whole strategy. The correct thing to do is to say, I early expanded and I lost. How do I early expand better? Maybe they build more SCVs, but maybe they macro harder. These are the basics that we're improving. I'm still losing, and I'm not missing any depots, and I'm not missing any SCVs. What could I do to stay alive? And then you do an adjustment, like maybe do building placement slightly differently. Or maybe before you get the refinery, get an extra barracks. Adjustments. Not changes. Yeah, what sounds do you want to hear? Give me some sounds. Sleepy Lion did say, what do you think separates Gold, Plat, Diamond, and Master League players from each other? I think it's literally one thing. Worker production. That's it. It's the biggest differentiating factor. Building workers. There are gold level players that I personally know that say, God, this game is too hard. My strategies don't work. And I'm like, are you constantly building workers? They're like, yeah. And then they like show me a game and they're just not fucking building workers. And I'm like, build them. And they're like, but what about his strategy? I'm like, shut up. Build your workers. It's so easy. A horse? Let's do a horse noise. Good. What else do we want? A sloth noise. I don't know what a sloth noise makes. Probably. Ah. What does the fox say? You internet people. You interneters. I saw a music video and I found an opportunity to quote it. Oh, it's so good. People. Let's see here. The noise the Big Bang made. Let's close out with the Big Bang. I think... Here's the noise that I think the Big Bang made. Ouch! Shit. Wow. I was trying to like an epic crack and I just jammed my elbow like on the point of the desk. Ouch. Oh. Oh, see you tomorrow, guys. We're going to watch probably one of the best games of the year. Thanks so much. See ya.